There is a quiet moment at night when everything slows down. The world stops demanding from you, and your body finally gets a chance to speak. But most men ignore that moment and never realize that what they do in those few minutes before sleep can completely reshape their confidence, energy, and intimate performance in ways they never thought possible. What you are about to hear is not a quick fix or a trick, but a deeply rooted nighttime oil routine combined with simple body awareness practices that many men overlook. Even though they have been used in traditional wellness systems for generations to support circulation, relaxation, and masculine vitality in a natural and steady way. When we talk about performance in intimacy, we are not just talking about physical endurance, but also about presence, emotional control, and the ability to stay calm and connected rather than rushed or distracted. And this is where nighttime rituals become powerful, because they train your body to shift out of stress mode and into a state where everything works more smoothly, including blood flow, hormonal balance, and mental clarity. The first layer of understanding this routine begins with recognizing how stress silently destroys performance over time, not in dramatic moments, but in accumulated tension stored in the body, especially in the lower back, hips, thighs, and pelvic region, which directly influences energy flow and confidence. Most men carry this tension without realizing it, and at night they either scroll endlessly on their phones or fall asleep with their nervous system still in a state of alert, which is the opposite of what the body needs for restoration and intimate strength. The nighttime oil routine starts with something simple, yet often underestimated: the act of slowing down and reconnecting with your own body through touch, using natural oils that support relaxation and skin stimulation, not as a shortcut, but as a signal to the nervous system that it is safe to release tension. When a warm oil is gently applied to key areas like the lower abdomen, inner thighs, and lower back, it creates a sensory feedback loop that encourages circulation and relaxation at the same time, helping the body shift away from stiffness and toward fluidity, which is essential for natural performance. But the real transformation does not come from the oil itself. It comes from how intentionally you use it, because intention changes physiology more than most people realize. And when you apply oil slowly, with awareness and deep breathing, you are essentially retraining your nervous system to associate touch with calm rather than pressure or performance anxiety. As you begin this routine, the first few nights may feel unfamiliar, even slightly uncomfortable for some men who are used to rushing through their evenings. But this discomfort is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that your body is waking up to a different kind of awareness that it has been deprived of. The oil acts as a medium, but the real work is happening in your breath, because as you slow your breathing during application, you begin activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for recovery, balance, and the natural regulation of sexual energy. This is where many men begin to notice subtle changes, not immediately in dramatic performance shifts, but in the way their body feels lighter, less tense, and more responsive to stimulation and rest. Over time, this nightly practice creates a foundation where confidence is no longer something you force mentally, but something that naturally emerges from a relaxed and well-regulated body. Another important aspect of this routine is consistency, because the body responds not to intensity but to repetition, and when you repeat this calming oil ritual every night, you are essentially teaching your body a new baseline state, one where stress is not the default setting before sleep. This is especially important for intimate performance, because anxiety and overthinking are two of the biggest silent disruptors of natural function. And when your body is consistently trained to relax before sleep, it carries that calm into other areas of life, including intimacy. There is also a psychological shift that happens when a man begins to take care of his body in this intentional way at night, because it reinforces self-respect, patience, and awareness, all of which are deeply connected to how presence is experienced in intimate relationships. Instead of chasing performance, you begin to embody it naturally, because your nervous system is no longer in a constant state of resistance or fatigue. As this routine continues, you may also notice improvements in sleep quality, which plays a critical role in hormonal balance and overall energy regulation. And while this is not the primary goal, it becomes an important supporting factor that enhances everything else. The key is not to treat this as a task, but as a ritual, something that you enter with full attention rather than distraction, allowing your mind and body to gradually align in a state of ease. In the beginning, even 5 to 10 minutes is enough to start, because what matters is not duration but presence, and how deeply you are able to connect with the sensation of slowing down. Many men underestimate how much their daily habits disconnect them from their own physical awareness. And this routine slowly rebuilds that connection in a way that feels natural rather than forced. The oil becomes a symbol of transition, from external stress to internal calm, and over time your body begins to anticipate this shift each night, making relaxation easier and more automatic. As you continue this practice, you may begin to feel a subtle increase in confidence, not because anything external has changed, but because your internal state is more stable, and stability is one of the strongest foundations for intimate performance. This is only the beginning of understanding how nighttime rituals can reshape masculine energy in a grounded and sustainable way. And in the next part, we will go deeper into the specific techniques of application, breath control integration, and how this routine directly influences circulation and responsiveness in a way that most men never consciously train in their lives. Continuing from where we left off, once a man begins to settle into the rhythm of this nighttime oil routine, the next level of transformation comes not just from applying the oil itself, but from understanding how to turn a simple act of self-care into a structured mind-body conditioning process that directly influences circulation, responsiveness, and overall intimate confidence. At this stage, the routine becomes less about novelty and more about precision, meaning every movement, every breath, and every moment of attention begins to serve a purpose in retraining how the body transitions from daily stress into deep physiological recovery. One of the most overlooked aspects of male performance is blood flow quality, not just in terms of physical circulation, but in how consistently the body is able to shift into a relaxed vascular state without resistance from stress hormones. When the nervous system is overactive due to long hours of mental pressure, irregular sleep, or emotional tension, the body prioritizes survival functions over restorative and intimate functions, which gradually dulls responsiveness. This is where the nighttime oil practice becomes a powerful signal to the body that it is safe to restore balance. As warm oil is applied slowly, the skin's sensory receptors begin sending calming feedback to the brain. And when combined with controlled breathing, this feedback loop helps reduce internal pressure and encourages natural relaxation of the vascular system. To deepen this effect, the application technique itself becomes very important, because rushing through it or treating it casually reduces its impact significantly. Instead, the oil should be warmed slightly in the hands before contact, allowing the temperature difference to communicate comfort and safety to the body. As the hands move over larger muscle groups like the thighs, hips, and lower back, the pressure should remain gentle but intentional, enough to stimulate awareness without creating tension. This balance between stimulation and relaxation is crucial, because the goal is not to excite the body into activity, but to guide it into a regulated, calm state where recovery and natural energy restoration can occur simultaneously. During this process, breathing becomes the anchor that keeps the nervous system aligned, and many men find that shifting to slower, deeper abdominal breathing enhances the effect dramatically. Each slow inhale signals expansion and openness, while each controlled exhale signals release, and over time this pattern becomes associated with physical relaxation, making it easier for the body to enter a restorative mode even outside of the routine itself. Another powerful element that develops in this stage is awareness of pelvic and core tension, which is something most men carry unconsciously due to sitting for long hours, mental stress, and lack of mobility work. When oil is applied to these regions with mindful attention, it allows the body to gradually soften areas that are often tight without awareness. This release is subtle but extremely important, because tension in these regions directly affects how freely energy and blood circulate through the lower body. As this tension reduces over time, many men begin noticing that their body feels more responsive in general, not just in intimate situations but also in physical activity, sleep quality, and overall energy levels during the day. This is because the nervous system is no longer stuck in a constant state of partial activation, but instead learns to fully transition between effort and rest. What makes this routine especially powerful is the psychological shift that begins to form alongside the physical changes. When a man consistently engages in a nighttime ritual that prioritizes calm, presence, and body awareness, it slowly rewires how he perceives control and confidence. Instead of associating performance with pressure or urgency, he begins to associate it with relaxation, presence, and internal stability. This shift is subtle but extremely profound, because much of performance anxiety in intimacy comes from mental overactivation rather than physical limitation. By training the body to enter calm states regularly, the mind follows naturally, reducing unnecessary overthinking and allowing a more grounded sense of confidence to emerge. At this point in the routine, consistency becomes the true multiplier of results. A single session may feel relaxing, but repeated sessions create memory within the nervous system. The body begins to anticipate relaxation at a certain time of night, and this anticipation itself becomes a conditioning signal that helps initiate recovery faster. Over days and weeks, this creates a baseline shift where the body no longer holds tension as its default state before sleep, and this has direct implications for overall masculine vitality. Sleep becomes deeper, morning energy feels more stable, and there is a noticeable improvement in emotional regulation throughout the day, which all contribute indirectly to stronger intimate performance. There is also an often overlooked connection between self-touch awareness and emotional grounding. Many men grow up with little education around mindful physical self-care, and as a result, they may disconnect physical sensation from emotional awareness. This routine gradually restores that connection in a healthy, non-performative way. As oil is applied slowly and intentionally, it becomes easier to notice where stress is stored emotionally in the body, and this awareness alone can begin to dissolve long-held tension patterns. Over time, this leads to a more integrated sense of self, where physical and emotional states are no longer in conflict, but instead operate in harmony. As we move deeper into this understanding, it becomes clear that this nighttime oil routine is not simply about external application, but about teaching the body a new language of relaxation, control, and awareness. It is about replacing unconscious tension with conscious release, and replacing scattered mental energy with grounded physical presence. And while the changes may begin subtly, they build gradually into a noticeable transformation in how the body performs, recovers, and responds in intimate contexts. In the next part, We will explore how this routine can be expanded with specific breathing sequences, timing strategies, and subtle lifestyle adjustments that further amplify its effects on endurance, confidence, and emotional connection in relationships, ultimately turning this simple nightly practice into a complete system for long-term masculine performance enhancement. As we move deeper into this understanding, the routine begins to evolve from a simple nighttime practice into a complete system of regulating masculine energy, where breathing, timing, and daily habits all start working together instead of existing as separate, disconnected efforts. At this stage, the focus shifts toward refinement, meaning how to make the body respond faster to relaxation cues, how to maintain stability throughout the day, and how to ensure that the benefits of the nighttime oil practice are not limited to a short window before sleep, but instead begin influencing overall presence, confidence, and intimacy in a consistent way. One of the most powerful extensions of this routine is the integration of slow breathing patterns outside of the oil application itself, because the nervous system does not only learn in isolated moments, it learns through repetition across different environments. When a man begins to practice slow, controlled breathing during everyday activities, such as walking, sitting, or even working under pressure, he starts building a baseline of calm that directly supports intimate performance. The key is not to force relaxation, but to gently guide the body into it repeatedly until it becomes familiar. Over time, this creates a natural resistance to stress spikes, meaning the body is less likely to overreact to pressure and more capable of staying centered even in emotionally or physically demanding situations. Timing also plays a crucial role in maximizing the impact of this nighttime routine. The body operates on natural cycles of alertness and recovery, and when the oil ritual is performed at a consistent time each night, it becomes synchronized with the body's internal clock. This consistency sends a powerful signal to the nervous system that it is safe to begin winding down, which makes the transition into deeper rest more efficient. Instead of forcing sleep or waiting for exhaustion to take over, the body begins to recognize the pattern and responds automatically. This is where many men begin noticing that they fall asleep faster, wake up with more clarity, and experience fewer fluctuations in energy throughout the day. Another important layer in this system is the reduction of mental overstimulation before sleep. In modern life, many men end their day with constant exposure to screens, information, and unresolved thoughts, which keeps the mind active long after physical activity has stopped. This creates a disconnect between physical tiredness and mental alertness, which directly affects recovery quality. By replacing that final hour of stimulation with a grounding routine like the oil application combined with slow breathing, the mind begins to decelerate naturally. Thoughts become less scattered, internal pressure reduces, and the transition into rest becomes smoother and more complete. This mental shift is essential because emotional tension is one of the most overlooked factors in intimate performance, often influencing confidence more than physical capability itself. As the routine continues to develop over weeks, a deeper transformation begins to occur in how a man relates to his own body. Instead of viewing it only in terms of performance or output, there is a gradual shift toward awareness, maintenance, and respect. This shift is subtle but extremely powerful because it removes the pressure-based mindset that often interferes with natural responsiveness. When the body is no longer treated as something that must constantly perform, it begins to function more efficiently on its own. This is where many men report a renewed sense of calm confidence, not because they are trying harder, but because they are no longer working against their own physiology. At the same time, circulation benefits from this consistent combination of relaxation, touch awareness, and breath control. While it is not about forcing any immediate physical change, the repeated relaxation of muscle groups, especially in the lower body and core, supports more efficient blood flow patterns over time. The body becomes less restricted, less tense, and more capable of transitioning between rest and activity without resistance. This fluidity is one of the key foundations of sustained energy and responsiveness, both in daily life and in intimate situations. There is also an emotional dimension that cannot be ignored. As the nervous system becomes more regulated through this nightly practice, emotional reactions throughout the day also become more balanced. Stressful situations feel less overwhelming. Communication becomes more grounded, and there is a stronger sense of internal stability. This emotional balance directly influences intimacy, because presence and connection are not just physical states, they are emotional ones. When a man is calm within himself, that calm naturally extends into how he relates to his partner, creating a deeper sense of connection that is not forced but felt. The real power of this nighttime oil routine is not in any single step, but in how all these elements begin to reinforce each other over time. The oil application creates physical relaxation, the breathing creates nervous system balance, the timing builds consistency, and the lifestyle adjustments reduce overall stress load. Together, they create a feedback loop where the body gradually learns how to maintain calm more easily and recover more efficiently. This is what leads to sustainable improvement rather than temporary change. Ultimately, what begins as a simple nighttime ritual evolves into a quiet form of self-mastery. It teaches patience where there was urgency, awareness where there was distraction, and calm where there was tension. And in the context of intimacy and performance, these qualities matter far more than any short-term technique or external solution. Because real confidence is not something that is forced in the moment. It is something that is built gradually in how you treat your body, how you manage your mind, and how consistently you allow yourself to return to a state of balance. When everything comes together, the message becomes clear. Performance is not about pressure. It is about regulation. It is not about chasing results. It is about creating conditions where the body naturally performs at its best. And this nighttime oil routine, when practiced with consistency and awareness, becomes more than just a habit. It becomes a foundation for a calmer nervous system, a more grounded presence, and a deeper, more authentic form of confidence that extends far beyond intimacy into every part of life. This is where the full circle completes itself, not in sudden transformation, but in steady alignment between body and mind, where performance is no longer something you chase, but something that naturally emerges from a state of balance, awareness, and internal ease.